All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Today, we've got a really great webinar plan. We've got, as you can see, a really great panel for you guys. Before we get started, my name is Brooke Satterfield, and I work in Mayor Burke's office. And I just want to remind everyone sort of the purpose behind this webinar. Our intentions are to provide an opportunity for all of you to hear from people within your industry and what they're doing based on the guidelines that have been put out by the governor, and just hear about how they're going to logistically implement all of these guidelines. And we obviously ask our presenters and our panelists to be as thorough as possible in their answers, but please understand that this webinar is not meant to be a replacement for understanding and reading through and really engaging with the guidelines. This is not meant to be a replacement, it's just supplementary so that you guys can hear from other people within your industry. So with that out of the way, I will go ahead and hand it over to Jermaine Freeman, who is Deputy Chief of Staff to Mayor Burke, and he's going to kick us off.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today for this webinar. Thank you, Brooke, for the introduction. We know there are some businesses that have been given permission from our county and state government to reopen in the coming days and weeks as part of the state's phase 1 reopening. So we just wanted to make sure that we provided some resources like today's webinar to help gyms and fitness facilities and exercise centers to safely and effectively reopen while helping us to continue to reduce the spread of COVID-19 because obviously we want to make sure that we don't see a second surge. So we thought we'd have a dialogue today, so let's jump right into our material. After we get through the panel discussion, we'll make sure to allow for time to view questions and answers from our viewers. So Brooke, take it away. Why don't you introduce our panel and let's get it started.
Thanks, Jermaine. So like I said, we've got a really great panel that I'm really excited about. So I will briefly just mention their names and I'll let them introduce themselves. So we've got Tyler, who is the fitness center manager for the city's Well Advantage Center. We've got Lindsay from Echelon Fitness. We've got Kathy from the YMCA. And we've got Bruno with Kathy. And then we have Kyle House and Kyle Miller from Kyle House Fitness. So if Tyler, if you want to start, and then Lindsay, and then Kathy, and then Kyle's. So take it away, Tyler.
I'm mute there. Still getting used to Zoom. Couple months in. Yes, my name is Tyler Wachowski. I manage the Well Advantage Fitness Center. It is a employee-based fitness center for the city of Chattanooga. So we have everybody from SWAT team to librarians and everybody in between. It's a really unique facility in that it is included as an employee benefit. So anybody who works for the city does have free use of the facility. We're located on East 11th Street, and just like everybody else, we're trying to just kind of figure out the best practices to get things reopened.
And I'm Lindsay Hayden. I'm the regional studio manager for Echelon Cycling and Fitness. We have our main hub is in Chattanooga, of course. So we also have a second location in Miami, Florida. We are very well known for our at-home fitness. And so this has been a pretty busy time for us. We've already been practicing, a lot of these guidelines the last few months, but now we are looking at when we're going to reopen in our Chattanooga and Miami locations. And I'm excited to be a part of this panel to get some great ideas from some fellow experts in the community. Thank you.
I'm Kathy Teufel. I'm the Associate Executive Director at the Hamilton YMCA, and Bruno is the Fitness Director here as well. And we opened yesterday, so I'll be anxious to talk about that a little bit.
Hey guys, Kyle House and Kyle Miller. We are co-owners of Kyle House Fitness, and I'm very excited to be on here with you guys. And thank you to the city, thank you to the panelists for all this. Excited to get some good information out there for everybody. So yeah, let's do this thing.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. So I will just go down sort of the list of questions that we've got for you guys, and I'll just sort of name one of you to sort of kick off the answer, and then if the others have anything you want to add or anything like that, then you can just jump right in. So we will start this first question. If Kathy will start us off, what kind of screening are you going to be doing for your employees, and then what about screening for your patrons?
So we have nurses from a company set up outside the facility, and they're doing temperature checks on all employees and all members.
Awesome. Kyle House, talk about any other measures that you're taking to make sure that your employees, your trainers, your instructors, and all that stuff are staying healthy.
Yeah, personally, I check in with each of them every day, especially if they're coming in. We're doing the temperature screening. We wanted to go a step further. We've got a doctor we're linking up with, and he's going to help us get the antibody test this week, just for a little bit more precautionary measures, and maybe a little peace of mind too, what's going on, because that's a big part of this game, is the mental process. We also, the Tennessee state requirements for the questions that we ask every time they come in, before they get screened for temperature, and then sanitize their hands, wash their hands, all those good things.
That's great. Lindsay, do you guys have anything that you're doing with your instructors that's hasn't been mentioned?
So we are currently, the studio has not opened back up yet. The procedures we will put in place will go right along with what Kathy and Kyle said with the CDC guidelines. We are looking to implement a new type of temperature check. It's actually a station that you walk up to, and it takes your temperature. So, I was out today, and they were doing temperature checks where I was, and they have to get pretty close to you. So this actually, no one has to be near it. Our employees would still ask those really key screening questions to our members, and then they would go over to the temperature check station on an iPad, and it says what your temperature is. And if it is over the 100.4, then a sensor will go off, and we will obviously take precautions from there. So we're definitely excited about that, to have as minimal contact as possible. Of course, like everyone said, our staff will be temperature checked as well, and we'll have the proper PPE on with at all times.
That's awesome. That sounds like a really cool piece of technology. So as you guys know, part of keeping your employees and your patrons safe is going to be communicating with your staff and training your staff on how these new precautions are going to impact the way that your daily operations. So Kyle Miller, can you talk a little bit about how you're communicating with staff?
Yeah, so we use Slack Messenger, so we use that on a regular basis where we do one-to-one and then group conversations. We do email communications with all of our staff and our customers. We set up automated communications as reminders about not only the new procedures and protocol, but the new time that people need to come into class, in which we're having people come 20 minutes before class so that the screenings are done, and we don't sacrifice anybody's workout on top of that. On our website, we built a resource for customers, a resource for staff, and then a general guidelines as a resource for everyone. Then our staff was required to take a test based off of those requirements. So they had to take a test on the customer requirements, the general guidelines, and the staff requirements. Some of those are state, and some we made up ourselves. And then they were required to take that test and get 100. And if they got 100 on it and passed, then they were able to come into work. But until they passed it, they weren't allowed to. So there's a couple of different ways that we've done it, from a manual process and then an automated process and then a testing process. Then we have checklists that go through that have to be turned in throughout the day, because we're doing high touch point cleaning every 30 minutes. If anyone touches a piece of equipment, it stays on the ground, it gets cleaned, no one else touches it, then it gets placed back. So there are definitely like very stringent checklists that everybody's going through on top of the testing that we've already had done.
Awesome. Does anyone else want to add anything? No? All right.
Well, Brooke, we have our training is in person, and you can't begin to work until you've gone through the in-person training with one of the director level staffs. So, and then they're all communicating, each director is communicating with the employees in their department.
That's great. Thanks, Kathy. So our next question, Tyler, talk to us about how your facility plans on meeting social distancing requirements, and then how you're logistically going to be like reconfiguring your facility.
Absolutely. So we are following a lot of, or when we open, we'll be following a lot of the Tennessee pledge guidelines. That one's set up. The first one is to have reduced hours. So we're a 24/7 facility, but we will have reduced hours to when it is staffed. That's one of the first requirements for that. That's just so people can perform temperature checks, ensure and help with social distancing and cleaning. On top of that, we'll be reducing the amount of people that are coming into the facility at any given time. Same with the guideline. That one's set at 50% based on the fire code. So that may be far too many based on the size of your facility and how everything's set up. So that one's anything below 50% of the fire code capacity, I think is gonna be great. You just kind of have to see what logistically works best for your facility. We're also looking into some sort of electric sign-in. So that way, if we do have it broken up, people can sign up for hour increments to come work out. That way they don't come in and have to get turned away because of people already being in there and already at the capacity that we have set. Inside the facility itself, we're working on creating access through a side door since we're a shared facility. And then we also have another door, so we're trying to figure out a way if it's safe to have that second door open just to remove a touch point. And then on top of that, we are limited on spaces. I think probably everybody is here. There's always could use more space, but we're trying to spread out some of the higher density areas such as cardio equipment where you usually have a bunch of treadmills put together. Spread them out as much as possible, and then from there marking out as far as what the proper distance should be between the different facilities. So those are some of the things we have planned for our facility.
Thanks, Tyler. So having a bunch of cardio equipment together, Lindsay, how is that? You guys have a lot of cardio equipment pushed together, so how is that impacting your operations?
Yes, so I'm thankful that we have the technology. If you come to a class, it's really hard if you have to turn away people. So to decrease that occurring, we have a technology in which we will really encourage every person, every participant, and all of our members are pretty used to this. It feels good to have your bike reserved. So you have bike 14, you're signed in, and we can go on our technology system, and I will be blocking off every third, like we'll have one bike, we'll have then two bikes will be out of order, then there'll be another. So we will be at about 40 to 50% capacity, just to make sure in a studio type setting like ours that we are adhering to the 6-foot rule. So the good news is you will know if you have a bike. You will have a bike, you will show up, and we will say, oh, Brooke is on bike 10, do your temperature check-in, let's ask these questions, and you go right in and you sit on bike 10. And so you will know, we probably will still have some people show up that we will have to turn away if we're full, but we're really going to encourage and have a lot of signage up to encourage all of our participants to have their bike before they come, go online, and then they know they have that bike, and we won't have to turn too many people away.
That's great. Thanks, Lindsay. So let's see, this next question, Kyle House, if you'll talk about you guys, do you plan on continuing to offer group exercise options? If so, how are you going to minimize risk? And, you know, how do you plan on executing things like, you know, boot camps or circuit training or CrossFit or different, you know, group high intensity formats with, especially with sharing equipment?
Yeah, that's a awesome question too, because group fitness is tough, you know, abiding by the social distancing guidelines. But the way that we have it set up, you know, sort of along the lines of what Lindsay was saying, we have specific treadmills and benches reserved for the people when they walk in the door. We require them to grab their equipment before class starts, have it by their bench. Nobody else touches those pieces of equipment. And they're obviously sanitized before and after the class. And we have the benches and the treadmill spaced out in a way where we are still abiding by the 6-foot rule. And then we're just reiterating and communicating to the people that are taking the classes that they're not to share any of the equipment that, you know, because sometimes, or back, you know, pre-COVID, people were able to come in early, you know, maybe warm up on a treadmill of their choice, but now it's like, you must stay on this treadmill, you have to stay on this bench during this process.
And one thing that we've done is, like Lindsay was saying, we are probably, our classes are probably, they're about 40% capacity right now, but we usually have 8 classes a day, and we're only doing 4 right now, and so we'll keep adding on classes from there. So technically, we're way below the 50% right now. We could be running 8 classes a day, and then we'd still only be at 40% because we're only allowing 8 out of 18 available spaces in the classroom itself. And so we'll keep up with that 40%. We'll start adding Thursday, this coming Thursday, and throughout the coming week, like adding more classes in. But we've also limited the time of the class. So usually they're 60 minutes. We've done 45 minutes, and that allows us to have 15 additional minutes to do a deep clean. So we usually do clean, 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 and then a deep clean, and then a clean, 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 and a deep clean. This time we're doing deep clean, deep clean, deep clean. So it takes 2 staff members. So we lock the doors, nobody comes in for the first bit, and then we clean it all up and then open back up. So it's kind of like brand new and fresh right when we start up.
Will you talk a little bit more about what a deep clean looks like and what new enhanced cleaning and disinfecting policies that you guys are going to be doing?
Yeah, so most gyms there's 2 types of cleaning. There's deep cleaning and spot cleaning. And spot cleaning usually happens throughout the day, and then there's a deep clean maybe once a day. And so the thing that we've started doing is not just wiping down handles, not just wiping down those touch points, but actually wiping down everything at the top of the hour, or if it's inside of the studio that's not in the classroom or the training facility, we do that at the top of every 30 minutes. And so that's going to be not just cleaning a handle, but cleaning the entire door, not just cleaning the handle of a dumbbell, but cleaning the sides and the front and back of the dumbbell, not just cleaning the tops of the benches, but cleaning the entire bench, not just cleaning the handrails and the screen of the treadmill, which will be a spot clean. It's the entire tread, even where the feet go. And we have really unique treadmills that you can do a lot of stuff on your hands on the treadmills because it's a rubber slat treadmill. And so we clean that and use a lot more disinfectant as well. Probably way more than we should, but I just think if it smells, if it smells extremely clean, it tells you. So we're probably going a little overboard on the disinfectant, but yeah. And then mirrors are being cleaned every single after every single class. And then we don't have fans running. We have air running at a higher volume to keep it colder in the room. And then we don't have our fans that are usually running. So we've kept it cool by having the AC on, but that fan is always circulating air out of the room. And the fans that usually circulate through the room, those are all turned off as well.
Great, thank you. And does anyone else want to add anything to the disinfectant conversation?
Brooke, we bought a fog machine, exactly the one that the Homeland Security came and used when they cleaned up for the tornado relief efforts, and it just came in. So we're using that all throughout the day, but we have essential childcare going too, and so we're just trying to disinfect and sanitize all throughout.
That's awesome. Speaking of getting disinfectant and cleaning supplies this question is for anyone that has a good answer. How are you dealing with getting enough supplies like hand sanitizer, PPE, masks, gloves, the list?
I think that has been its own difficult challenge. It's kind of like we usually can go to one source and you're like, okay, I can buy in bulk here. And so what we've had to do is piecemeal. It's like, oh, I can get 2 things from Amazon. I can go to Walmart and get 4 things. I can go to Sam's and get 2 more, and then I can go here. And then what we've been doing is just, we have an inventory list. We took the average of how often that's used and how quickly it goes out. Then we just doubled that number and we're buying against that. So that's keeping us pretty good, but as we go and start offering more classes, and if capacity, if we're able to go above the 50%, then we'll have to figure that out as well, because it's very difficult to find different things. So mostly just piecemealing everything together based off of what we think our average number is going to be needed per week.
Yeah, here at the Y, we're actually, we have a good line of communication with our suppliers, and that's been playing in our favor. So we have not had any shortage of supplies, and things are running smooth. So my best recommendation would be find a place that can provide at least 80% or more of the products you need, and just use those.
Been just having to be patient, like Kyle said, a little bit here, a little bit there, and our instructors have been great as well. They do the same. If they see one, they're like, I brought 2 in today. And so with everybody pitching in, and we do have partners that we obviously order from in bulk, and they've taken a little longer, but they've been really great through this, especially with some of our large, wipes that we wipe down the bites with, and so it's taken a little longer, but everybody's come through and done their part a little at a time.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think that's probably what she's mentioned too there. It's hard for us, like we can't get a large distributor because we don't order that much, or we're not ordering, we don't have huge contracts with people. And so if you're on here and you do have a small gym, piecemealing that together is kind of your best bet, unless you can buy like 250 bottles and like hand sanitizer at like the gallons. Sometimes if you're a small business like us that is locally owned and we don't have any funding except for our self-funding, it does make it a little more complicated. And so you have to figure out what your best resources is, your cheapest available options, and also having enough quantity as well.
That's helpful. So Lindsay, if you'll start off with this question, and then the Kyles, you guys might have something to add, but with restricting numbers of people that can come into your facility and come and take classes and stuff like that, are you making any changes to your membership plans or membership prices, or adding any sort of accommodations?
Yes. So, like I said, we have not reopened yet, but I have worked the last few months to really communicate with our members on a weekly basis about I offered freezing memberships up to 6 months. So a lot of them opted to do that. And some said, can I have it back the day I want it? I said, yes, we will do anything we can when you're ready, because we understand that even when we do reopen, not everyone will come in that day. They may want to keep their membership frozen, and that's something that I think is really important, is giving them the flexibility to start back when they're ready and they feel comfortable. Other than that, we have been offering this the last month or so. We understand, a lot of people may not know, we have in our studio, we actually have 2 rooms. So we have our Connect room, which is cycle room, our dominant room, and then we also have a Fit Pass room. This room is a smaller room that we film all of our what we call Fit Pass. Fit Pass is you may have seen it on the It's a Reflect, a mirror that you can do workouts at home from. You can also do the workouts from your computer, from your cell phone. You know, this is kind of something that was picking up before COVID-19, and we're offering a 90-day trial pass for not only our members, but anyone that is going to feel more comfortable staying at home, even as gyms do begin to open back up. So we're doing a free 90-day trial of our Fit Pass, and we know that people may still choose to do that when we do reopen in the coming months.
For us, I think flexibility, like that's the biggest thing that people have asked for, and that's what we've tried to figure out along the way. I will say, like, it's in true Chattanooga fashion. Like, we kept messaging, we're like, hey, we're not gonna be able to open for another 2 weeks, not another 2 weeks. Do you want to freeze your membership? And a lot of our members and a lot of like our fitness community that we work with were like, no, don't freeze it. So, I mean, that was extremely helpful. And so it's very humbling that like people, you know, look at a local option and they're like, no, you guys like keep it and we'll figure it out later. But on top of that, we offered exactly what Lindsay is talking about. You know, do you want to freeze your account? Do you want to take it and then place the payment in the next couple of months? And then we started doing live videos. So we started doing some live workouts. So we did 3 to 4 a day. The first couple of weeks, this week, since we opened back up, we dropped that down to 1, but they're accessible in the library online. And then we do virtual training as well. So we have an online platform where a client can go on and then they can sign up and then they're assigned a trainer, and then that trainer builds a workout program for them. And then they use the app to actually do all their workouts. They can see all the videos in there, and then everything's logged through that. So there are people that work out with us virtually that either don't live in Chattanooga or maybe work out at YMCA or maybe work out at Planet Fitness. And then we just build the type of workout that they need. And then they just use our app to register that. So we open that up to a lot of people as a switch option, where it's like, if you want to keep your membership active, what we'll do is we'll just apply that to the app, and then you can just use it that way. And then we also just opened up some free resources as well online for people.
Great. So Kathy, I know you guys have opened up. Talk about some of the parts of your facility that are open, and then some parts of the facility that still are not open.
We actually only have the wellness center, and then we've moved a lot of our free weights into our gymnasium. So anything related to wellness center is open. The locker rooms are closed. The bathrooms are open, and if we have a long line of people for the bathroom, then we'll take them into the locker room and let them use it, but then we have to clean it, you know, right after. And then we have essential childcare going, so they're in 3 different parts of the Y.
No sauna.
No sauna, no steam room, no hot tub, no swimming, no pool. It's just wellness, no classes. We have wellness and personal training.
Yes, the Tennessee Pledge guidelines specifically note keeping closed for right now: pools, saunas, hot tubs, basketball courts. There's a list on there. Are any of you going to implement a required waiver once you reopen to protect you guys or, you know, your facilities if someone gets COVID-19?
Yeah, that was a big thing, how to deactivate all the waivers that people signed, you know, pre-COVID. And luckily our platform, MindBody, there was a way you just call in. They deactivated all the original waivers, and then we created a new one. So now that's part of the process. When they come back into the studio, they have to sign the new waiver, and all the staff, everybody has to do the same thing too. So it was, you know, it's a little tedious, but you know, I just want to cover yourself.
Yeah. Tyler, talk about, you know, how will you guys handle if someone does become positive and they have been in your facility and they notify you?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting issue. Hopefully we don't have to cross that bridge, but if we do, I'm working with management within the city. At this time, I believe, until you can do the proper tracing, you'd have to, at least for some period of time, temporarily shut down. Make sure that there is, as the Kyles were talking about, a deep clean on top of all of that, and do the proper testing for those that person may have been in contact with. And I think once everything's covered with that and you're able to sort of give a safe go-ahead, you can go from there. Obviously, if it's an employee, that's going to be a different situation just because they're going to have closer contact and more frequent contact with other staff members. So that'll be kind of something that we'll have to figure out as it happens. Like I said, hopefully it won't, but I think, kind of just taking the necessary precautions and taking a step back once that were to happen.
And that we're having all of our employees get tested. So that's going to be helpful for us as well, especially if we find out they have antibodies. We're aware of that. And I think too, we've talked, so one of the people that we train is a respiratory doctor here in Chattanooga, and he's been giving us a lot of tips about what to do should something like that happen. And it really goes down to what Tyler was saying. Like, if you find out, you can't really trace that it came from a specific place because people are going so many different places that are open now. And so it's really like, if we're notified, shut down, do a full deep clean, and then, the recommended maybe 24 hours you wait post that deep clean, and then you reopen back up. And so we're leaning on them, some of the people that we trained for a little bit of guidance, and hopefully it doesn't come to it, but if it does, then we'll see what they say, and they can give us some medical feedback on what we should be doing. Should we be able to trace it pretty closely back to where we were, or that it was within the past couple of days?
Yeah. So another one of the guidelines, as you guys know, is that older adults and vulnerable populations, should still remain at home at this point. And, for some of the vulnerable populations, exercise as medicine has been something that's been super important. Are any of you taking any extra precautions for these populations, or again, any accommodations or anything like that?
Well, at the Y, we have a large number of seniors that come here, and they're actually the ones that are just, chomping at the bits to get here. So Bruno moved all of the new steps and recumbent bikes that they like to use a lot into the gym and space those out a lot. And then we're just trying to, remind them in the fitness center to keep their distance and wash their hands a lot. But you can't keep them away. They're just not staying home. And the other thing is we have our cancer programs and our Parkinson's programs here. So those are canceled for now, in hopes, to get them to stay home for now.
That's great, Kathy. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
To add on, since we're able to use some of the public areas and outside spaces, a lot of times with that clientele, we prefer to, go outside if the weather's nice and, have the sanitized equipment. But honestly, we've programmed, all the trainers keeping it simple during this phase too. So nothing super complex. You don't need a lot of equipment. Just move and breathe, as that's so important right now, coming out of quarantine.
And I think too, a lot of our older members, one of the changes I think they will see is that they like to really stay around and talk for a long time. And after classes, obviously we would love to have them back, but I think us, having, like Kyle was talking about, the proper time in between classes to clean. And I think that could be a big change for us. As some of our older population, we may have to say, okay, well, we have to close for 15 to 20 minutes, but we will, welcome them back for sure with open arms.
Yeah, and if you're a small business on here or a gym, or if you're rewatching this later today, I think the easiasest thing that we learned is you take all your chairs out, take all your tables out. Like our lobby is empty. It's just a track path that's 6 feet apart and arrows. So like, we usually have seating and people want to hang out after class, especially, you know, our 8:30 classes, those midday classes. We've had to shepherd them out the door, but also removing that. They don't want to stand around. So if you don't have a place to sit, they tend to get out of there and get in the parking lot.
Good idea.
So last question that I've got prepared for you guys, and then we'll sort of turn it over to Jermaine and any questions from the audience. But Tyler, if you'll talk a little bit about airflow, and I think Kyle touched on this earlier with the air conditioning versus the fan, but obviously as people are working out, they're inhaling, exhaling, and that kind of changes the social distancing dynamic just a little bit. So if you don't care to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think first we were working with our facilities team. We're lucky enough to have some maintenance guys that come through and just look to clear, make sure the filters are new or clean, so that way you're just having the ultimate air filtration. Kyle talked about with the AC. I think that's very important. It's not something you necessarily think of. Fans are just, whether it's ceiling fans built into the treadmills, ground fans, those are just blowing the air in different directions, which can sort of warp that 6-foot bubble. So trying to depend on air conditioning rather than fans, I think, is important. And then also, if you have the ability to have doors or windows open, just increase airflow. That can go a long ways too. As far as the breathing, obviously if someone's on a treadmill and running up an incline, they're going to be breathing heavier than if you were just doing some light free weights. So I think it's kind of still being determined what exactly that 6-foot bubble should be if they are exerting a lot of energy. But as we mentioned before, and several people have mentioned here, if you have the ability to spread out your equipment as much as possible, or at least mark off as much as possible and just sort of have it alternated, I think that can go a long ways. And then also to make sure and try to work with, so people aren't setting up like the 8-piece of equipment circuit, sort of having people shift their workouts into something that's just 1 or 2 pieces of equipment, so that way they're not moving around and bouncing back and forth between equipment. That can help make a sort of smaller area where people are working out and exerting the energy.
Great. Does anyone want to add anything else before we hop into Q&A?
I was just going to add, we're trying to control humidity a little bit more in the group industry. We forgot about that. So we added in another dehumidifier too, just to help like section all the moisture.
So we have 3 industrial ones now. We usually run like 1 on, 1 off, and back and forth. And there's 3 running full time throughout every class, and then we leave them running throughout the day too until we close the studio down. So that's been really helpful to keep moisture just out completely. And it hasn't happened yet, but we have 2 things: a no-touch policy. Like a lot of people high five and hug and like do a lot of stuff in class, and so we have a no-touch policy that's been very hard to enforce. You're like the instructors have had to yell at a couple of people in a positive way. And then also, if you cough or sneeze, we just ask you to leave. And I think people are really cool with it. And that hasn't happened yet, but we do make it very clear on the website, and then their communications, and then we let them know before they start class as well. Like, if you do cough or sneeze, go ahead and excuse yourself, or we'll have to ask you to go as well. And so that's been really helpful to set those kind of expectations on the front end so that people self-regulate and then they step out and they don't come back should that happen. So
that's great. This has been really great. You guys are obviously all very knowledgeable about these guidelines and stuff. If anyone has questions, attendees, if you want to just start dropping those in the chat. Jermaine is maybe still here. There he is. So Jermaine, if you want to start looking at some of the questions.
Yeah, so the first question is actually for Lindsay. This was a question from Lori. She asked, what's the name of the technology that Echelon is looking into? And that was something that came up earlier in our dialogue.
Sure, yes. It's called Temperature Check-In Station. And if you want to contact me, I can send you to the appropriate website. My email is Lindsay, Lindsay, at echelonfit.com. And yeah, so if you look at the website, it kind of gives you different kind of opportunities to have it at a station, to have it mounted on a wall, on a desk, things like that. So again, it's temperature check-in.
All right, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The next question is from Ryan. Ryan asked, and this is for the entire panel, is there a specific measurement above the 6-foot rule that you're using as a minimum between cardio equipment? That's kind of for anybody.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Yes, sure. Is there a specific measurement above the 6-foot rule that you're using as a minimum between cardio equipment?
It depends on the spaces that we're in. We have limited space, so we are able, for the most part, to do the 6 feet. Going above and beyond that, it would be really difficult just for the square footage of our studio. And then with our personal training room, we retooled that so that there's zones broken into 4 zones, and those zones are about 12 foot each. So the trainer and the clients stick to that one zone, and that's where they work out in. And so that in those rooms, we're able to do a little bit more spacing. And of course, the training happens throughout the day. So sometimes there's 2 sets of trainings going on at once. Sometimes it's just one. And then we have a secondary room that's a private training room that a lot of our older clients are going into because they can train by themselves. It's an isolated area, and it's about, I would say it's probably 16 by 18 feet. So we try to use that space for people that might be higher at risk but still want to come into the studio.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. The next question is from Leanne. She asked, what's the wording of the waiver? So I think there was a waiver that was referenced earlier. Does anyone can anyone share the wording for that?
So ours is super long and litigious, but if somebody wants it, they can reach out to us at info@cowhousefitness.com. I mean, we'll share it with you. There are other studios. We have friends in Chicago that have studios and friends in New York. And so it's kind of just a template that everybody is working off of. It's got really good language in there. There is some editing you have to do based on the type of studio you have and the contact and those kind of things. But we got the waiver from other people, and we're happy to share it. It's a good resource.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Our next question looks like it is for our friends over at the YMCA. This is from Laura. How are you all controlling the cleaning procedures for the free weights being used on the basketball courts?
On the basketball courts, we have an employee in there at all times, and when someone uses a piece of equipment, they clean it, the member cleans it, and then at that point it's clean, and then the staff person has to go over and re-clean it, and then it's and that's the procedure we're using for each piece, for everything.
And we pretty much quadrupled the staff that's doing cleaning. So we have housekeeping, but we also quadrupled the staff that is now doing disinfecting and cleaning. So if you would come here on a normal day, we would have 1 person over the wellness floor. At the moment, we have 3 to 4, depending on the volume of people, plus housekeeping doing their job of continuously cleaning.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And then we've got another question from Dre. Dre asked, how are you guys handling your virtual pricing, or are you just doing an hourly rate like one-on-one training?
For our personal training, that's all we're doing virtually that we're charging for, and it's the same price as one-on-one personal training.
Okay.
For us, that's the same way that we're doing the personal training, and then the classes we've offered for free for the past, since March 16th. Yeah. And we're still doing that. We're doing 1 class virtually a day. But then as we start to open up, we'll start using a platform and piece of technology we have that you'll just have to sign up for membership. You'll have a password and login, because there's a lot of people that are actually asking us to keep doing this. So we're going to keep doing it to a certain level. It's a great forcing mechanism, right? There's a lot of different, like, innovation comes through challenges, so that's fun. And so there are a lot of people that are asking us, and we're trying to figure out what that looks like and what that pricing looks like, and then how we're going to keep up with it. But as we start to offer more classes, we'll limit the freeness of it, because there will be opportunity to come into the studio and work out with us on a regular basis too.
All right, perfect. And then I think Dre had a follow-up question for the Kyles and for Kathy and Bruno. It looks like the question is, so to go along with that, do your trainers get paid the same then?
For us, so yep, the split is still the same because the work is still the same.
Yeah, it's still their time. It's not just the service itself. You're hiring them on, like, for that specific amount of time, and they're there for you for that time.
And we also rented out equipment. So we had anybody that wanted to do personal training, anybody that wanted to do virtual and online training. What we did is we reached out to the people that wanted to continue personal training and left their memberships active and things like that. And they were able to come and get the pieces of equipment that their trainer wanted them to have. And then they just rented that from us. And now that they're available to come in studio, then they just turn that in when they return with us. Perfect. Kathy, did you have anything to add? Did we step on you there?
Oh, no, it's fine. We're the same. They get paid the same.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Jermaine, I was going to say as well, like Kyle said, we've had a lot of our members, I mentioned the 90-day Fit Pass trial. Our Fit Pass is actually not when you have a bike at home. Our Fit Pass room is where you can do Pilates, yoga. We just launched our rowing program for those that have a rower at home. So our Fit Pass is more the boot camp, arms, cardio, pretty minimal equipment. So many of our members have tried it out with our 90-day free trial that they said, I think I'm going to continue this. I think it's a great idea because, as I mentioned, we will not open that smaller room when we do reopen for the time being. But they said, well, I'd like to come cycle, but then I'd like to do that at my own time at home. So it's really great to see so many people realizing that you can push yourself at home. And, even myself, I've never been an at-home person, but during this time, I've seen that the trainers in all of our areas are so amazing that people are really encouraged at home, and they're motivated like they've never been, seeing all these different platforms and just everybody coming through in our fitness community. So I think our clients as well, Kyle, will still continue the Fit Pass at home and maybe come out. And then again, it's flexibility at home when I'm feeling a little scared that day, but now today I feel good. I want to get out. So I think the flexibility and us offering these at home is so important and crucial at this time.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Lindsay. We appreciate that. Let's see here. It doesn't look like we have any additional questions. Well, looks like one just came in. This is from David to all of our panelists. Should any additional protocols be used for outdoor recreation equipment like boats, bikes, other gear, etc., used by minors in public spaces such as sidewalks, parks, or the river and creeks? So does anyone have a response for that?
I'm sure they can reach out to Outdoor Chattanooga. They do a lot of equipment rentals. Rock Creek also does equipment rentals. I'm sure they're following all the same protocols as far as disinfecting between, probably at a higher rate than they did before. Just that would be my guess with anybody who is doing any outdoor rec equipment rental at this time.
Yeah, and sorry, rubber gloves. I mean, I thought they were silly at first, but I've found that if I wear them, like, I don't touch my face, and because I'm not going to put rubber gloves near my face. So like, you can have those on. You really don't have to worry about much. Just take them off when you're done. So the biggest risk there, a lot of people don't take them off because they still have to be cleaned if you're going to keep wearing them. So if you do one thing, take them off so you don't take it to another thing. So if you're on the bike and you have your gloves on, take those off. have an extra pair if you're going to go use another piece of equipment. Otherwise, you're just transferring things from one to another. It might not hurt you, it might hurt others. So.
Gotcha. Brooke, were you adding something?
Yeah, the state has also released some recommendations for recreation, and so we're actually working to. There will be a webinar on that sometime in the near future. So, David, who I believe was who asked that question, keep your eyes open on our website for that, because we are planning on doing one to address things like outdoor rec equipment and rock climbing walls and different stuff like that. So that is on our radar, and we appreciate that question for sure.
Next question is from Trisha. Are you enforcing people to wear masks inside? And I think the follow-up kind of question to that is, are people going to be expected to wear masks if they are doing high intensity workouts? That's for anyone.
We are requiring our employees to wear masks at all times, but we are not requiring the members to.
That's the same for us. We went and purchased masks for all of our staff. They have multiple ones that are the guidelines provided. And the state guidelines, it's voluntary, so it's an option for customers, but it's not a requirement. And so there are some people that are wearing them, and there are some people that are choosing not to. But it's one of those things that's voluntary right now.
Okay, so that concludes our questions. I want to thank everyone for being such a great panelist. Thank you, Kathy, Bruno, Lindsay, and the Kyles. We appreciate it. And thank you, Brooke, for putting all this together. Brooke, do you want to tell us where some resources are going to be located? Oh, yeah, here we are.
Yeah, so you can see on the screen here, but we will be putting some links to resources on our website, and this webinar has been recorded, and we will put that on our website as well. And then when that's all up online and good to go, we'll just send a quick follow-up email to all of our attendees just so that you guys know where you can access these resources and more information. And the website is right here, cha.city/COVID-reopen.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Brooke. And so the final thing that we just want to add is if you are a gym owner and you don't feel safe, or you don't feel like you can sort of safely and adequately implement the safety measures, you have the option of not opening up. The guidelines that are coming out from the state are guidelines. You have not been ordered to reopen, so we want you to put safety first and foremost. And again, if you have any specific questions about how to keep your workplaces safe, please contact the health department. The contact is up on the screen. Bonnie Deacons is the Director of Environmental Health for the health department. So please feel free to reach out to her if you have some questions specifically about how to keep the workplace safe. And then also please make sure you check the state's website with the Tennessee Pledge guidelines for how to keep fitness centers safe. And with that, I think we're good. Brooke, do you have any final parting words?
No, a big thanks again to all of our attendees that has spent the last hour with us. And of course, thank you to all of our panelists. This was great, a lot of information, and you guys have been extremely helpful. So thank you all for being here.
All right, thanks everyone. Thank you, again to our panelists. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Kyle and Kyle. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.